Okay, we back in the building. I need you guys to press a one if you can hear me. Press a one if you guys can hear me clearly. If you can hear me crystal clearly. What the audio sound like on the main channel? Is it crisp? Is it crisp? What about y'all in landscape mode? Is it crisp? Let me know if it's crisp. So we got one doozy of a story. Oh my God. How many of you guys remember back in right around the time that Joe Biden first got elected? If y'all remember, I used to do the Street Conservative show. And that was a really popular show. And all we really talked about, all we really discussed was politics. And when the Biden administration first got into office, I stopped doing the Street Conservative show. Now, some of y'all may know why. Some of you may not know why. There's two reasons that I stopped doing the Street Conservative show. The first reason is that the moment that Joe Biden got elected, I said, you know what? I don't even want to talk about politics because we're about to be in for a wild ride. It's about to be none but straight shenanigans and chicanery. And in hindsight, I probably should have just went ahead and talked about politics. I should have just wrote it out. But I didn't. And the reason I didn't is the second, the second reason is why I chose not to do the Street Conservative, even why I chose to change the name of the channel. I sat back and I looked at the landscape and I said, these lunatics in the White House and Congress during the Biden administration, I was like, they about to go hard in the paint against conservatives. I said, they're about to go all the way in on conservatives, right? And look, I'm going to keep it real with y'all. As much as I love talking about politics, as much as I love discussing politics and all of that good stuff, I knew that conservatives were going to be a target. Now, the irony of all of this is you have all of these individuals yelling about freedom of speech. And tonight I'm going to point out the hypocrisy and the only reason why freedom of speech is being prioritized right now. You feel me? I'm going to break it down for you guys. Shout out to Tim Pino. Said, love the show, brother. Conservatives were persecuted and I'm an atheist and I voted Trump. No doubt. Appreciate you. Shout out to EB Getting It. EB Getting It said, OG, the landscape mode is much appreciated. This is one of many reasons why you are successful at what you do. Keep doing your thing, OG. Yeah, and for everybody that's watching, we are currently streaming in vertical mode and landscape mode across, uh, different channels. Um, and for the people that like landscape, I got some good news for you. Going into next year, YouTube is going to fix it so that when you go live on one channel, it will show in vertical or landscape. So I don't know if y'all remember me saying that. I don't know if y'all remember me saying that earlier this year. I was like, yo, I really wish YouTube had a feature where when you go live, you can either watch it in landscape mode or vertical mode. Like, to me, it only makes sense, right? So I guess they finally heard everybody complaining about that and decided to fix it. You feel what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But getting back to what I was saying, right? Um, there's a reason why they're prioritizing free speech now, and they wasn't prioritizing it during the Biden administration. And we're gonna break it down. We're gonna break it down. But the main thing that came out today is Google has admitted that it was censoring conservatives due to pressure from the Biden administration. Now, I wish I could say that I can rejoice for being vindicated because I've been saying this. I've been saying this, right? I've even been on panels where there were lefties that were basically saying, "Oh, Angryman, you don't know what you're talking about. Nobody's censoring conservatives. Nobody's censoring anybody on the right." All of that BS, right? But it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet, and the reason it's bittersweet is because I know the reason why they're doing this. The only reason why all of a sudden there's this renewed faith in freedom of speech, the only reason that there's this renewed uh uh prioritizing of freedom of speech is because the conservatives have the power now. And lefties, liberals, and wokies do not want that censorship pendulum to swing back the other way. They don't want to have to go through all of the crap that us conservatives went through. So now all of a sudden that the MAGA Republicans, the conservatives, and the right have the power, it's like, oh, we don't know anything about that cancel culture stuff. We just want to have a free exchange of ideas. Everybody's voice is valued. Really? Really? So now everybody's voice is valued. We weren't allowed 5 years ago. We weren't allowed to question the integrity of the election. We weren't allowed to talk about the circumstances surrounding the pandemic. We weren't allowed to talk about the Ukrainian war. We weren't allowed to talk. This is why I find it laughable when I see people on the left screaming about Jimmy Kimmel. screaming about freedom of speech. Like, I'm like, bro, we already, excuse me, us conservatives already experienced an Orwellian nightmare. Like, for real. Like, the funniest thing about it is the favorite word of the left is fascism. And while I'll admit we didn't experience fascism during the Biden administration, because to even say that anybody in America is experiencing fascism is a gross over exaggeration. I don't think people really understand what fascism is and what it's like to live in a country under a fascist dictator. Like, I don't think people really understand that. But I will say this: when it comes to the aspect of freedom of speech, our speech was being suppressed. And that was scary. And the reason why it's scary is because in my opinion, and I could be wrong, there may be some historians in here that can, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that is the beginning of the road. That's like the beginning of the road that leads to fascism. It's like, oh, you're not allowed to question anything. You're not allowed to question the validity of this issue. You're not allowed to question the authenticity of this issue. You're not allowed to question the integrity of this, and you're not allowed. And during the Biden administration, it felt like we weren't even in America. But the funniest thing about it is the lefties and the wokies were eerily quiet. They were eerily quiet. They didn't have anything to say. They had absolutely nothing to say. And we sat back and we had to tolerate being censored at every turn. Like, bro, I literally had to fall back on talking about celebrity gossip. Because the other thing that YouTube has admitted in this letter, and shout out to Jim Jordan. Shout out to Congressman Jim Jordan. Because I don't even think we would have got this admission if it had not been for him. But do you realize they are offering to give back the channels of people that were terminated during the Biden administration due to their political content? You can't make this up. You cannot make this shit up. They issued a statement saying that they are welcoming back any content creator whose channel was lost due to their political opinion. Y'all know what this means, right? You know what this means, right? This means that all of the major social media platforms has admitted that the Biden administration put pressure on them to silence certain voices. This is not speculation. This isn't speculation. This isn't a theory. This is now fact. This is now verifiable fact that anyone can go research, anyone can go look up. And you know what's so funny about it? This is what's so funny about it. I see hardly any YouTube content creators talking about this. Everybody's talking about Jimmy Kimmel and whether or not he, should be put back on the air and the merits of his free speech. But I don't see any YouTubers talking about this. And I'm I'm wondering why. You want to fight for Jimmy Kimmel's freedom of speech. What about your freedom of speech? What about your freedom of speech that was encroached upon? Yo, shout out to Grin. He said, finally caught you live. Thank you for all the advice you're giving and introspection. You and CGA are like the uncle I never had. Appreciate you, fam. Yo, man, shout out to Coach Greg Adams. But yo, if you're just coming in here, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the Cash App and support the show. Anybody that drops 100 or more will be a sponsor of the show. Anybody that drops 500 or more will be a super sponsor of the show. Shout out to my man Dark Power in the building. Appreciate you. We definitely need some support on the Cash App side. Look out for your homie one time. So I want to read this letter. So that you guys can get an idea of what this really was, right? So it says Google admits censorship under Biden, promises to end bans of YouTube accounts of thousands of Americans censored for political speech. This press release was issued on, yesterday, because it's now after midnight. Yesterday on September 23rd, 2025. Right? So it says Washington, D.C. today, thanks to the oversight of Chairman Jim Jordan, Google admits to offer all creators previously kicked off YouTube due to political speech violations on topics such as the pandemic, the Rona. That's what I had to start calling it. Remember? I couldn't say, I wasn't allowed to say the name. Even now, I don't want to say the name. This is how pervasive and how damaging censoring speech is, right? It's a knee-jerk reaction for me not to want to say the name right now, because I still don't trust it, right? On topics such as the Rona and elections, an opportunity to return to the platform. So it says today, thanks to the oversight of Chairman Jim Jordan, Google admits to offer all creators previously kicked off of YouTube due to political speech violations on topics such as the Rona and elections an opportunity to return to the platform. Google also admitted the following to the House Judiciary Committee. Number one, the Biden administration pressured Google to censor Americans and remove content that did not violate YouTube's policies. Number two, the Biden administration censorship pressure was unacceptable and wrong. Number three, public debate should never come at the expense of relaying authorities. Number four, the company will never use third-party fact checkers. Number five, Europe's censorship laws target American companies and threaten American speech, including the removal of lawful content. It says these major admissions come after Chairman Jordan's subpoena to Google and years-long investigation into the company. Read the full letter from Google here. Excuse me, y'all. Dear Chairman Jordan, this statement of facts is submitted on behalf of our client, Alphabet Inc., and its subsidiary, YouTube, collectively Alphabet or the company, in response to subpoenas issued by the House Committee on the Judiciary, the committee on February 15th, 2023, and March 6, 2025. Throughout the committee's investigation, Alphabet provided responsive information to the committee to fulfill its oversight responsibilities, producing internal records and providing extensive testimony, including more than 40 sets of responsive documents and voluntary participation in 20 executives in transcribed interviews. Let's see. Let's skip past all of this. Okay, here we go. The Biden administration and Alphabet. The pandemic was an unprecedented time in which online platforms had to reach decisions about how best to balance freedom of expression with responsibility, including responsibility with respect to the moderation of user-generated content that could result in real-world harm. Senior Biden administration officials, including White House officials, conducted repeated and sustained outreach to Alphabet and pressed the company regarding certain user-generated content related to the pandemic that did not violate its policies. While the company continued to develop and enforce its policies independently, Biden administration officials continued to press the company to remove non-violative user-generated content. As online platforms, including Alphabet, grappled with these decisions, the administration's officials, including President Biden, created a political atmosphere that sought to influence the actions of platforms based on their concerns regarding misinformation. It is unacceptable and wrong when any government, including the Biden administration, attempts to dictate how the company moderates content, and the company has consistently fought against those efforts on First Amendment grounds. YouTube's mission is to give everyone a voice and show them the world. Every day, YouTube builds and improves tools and systems to empower creators, viewers, and businesses to find and share information. Over 2 billion logged in users worldwide visit each month, and over 500 hours of content are uploaded every minute by an extraordinarily diverse community of creators who spanned over 100 countries and 80 languages on a daily basis. Users watch over 1 billion hours of video on YouTube. So I'm not going to read the whole letter, but what I will do is I will put it in the chat so you guys can go check it out and read it at your leisure. Like I've already read it, and you know, while it is while it is interesting reading, I only have one question. When are people from the Biden administration going to be arrested for violating our, well, investigated, whatever it is you need to do? When is the Biden administration going to be held accountable for violating the civil rights of countless Americans? Because this is what I feel like. I feel like they're only issuing this statement now because they don't want people on the left to get censored now that Trump is in office. I feel like they're issuing this statement now so that if Trump decides to censor anybody, they can say, well, we've already came out and said it wasn't acceptable, but did you really? Like, did you really? So my question is, when are they going to be held accountable? Because if they're not held accountable, what is the point of even saying any of this? So you had years of an investigation to, you know, uncover some shit we already knew. We already knew this. Like, this is what's so funny about this. We knew when Trump was taken off of Twitter, that was some Democrat Joe Biden BS. We knew, look, when you look at Facebook, right? I couldn't make money on Facebook for years. For years. For the entire time before Joe Biden got in office, I didn't get any violations on Facebook. The moment he got in office, every single time I look up, I'm getting a violation like this is sensitive and that's ultra sensitive and this may not be appropriate. And bro, I couldn't make no money off of Facebook. And just recently, this is the first month, this past month, from August to September was the first time period I was able to actually make some money on Facebook. And keep in mind, when I post stuff on Facebook, a lot of times my shorts or my reels, a lot of times they get millions of views. Like, I literally had to, if any of you are wondering why I stopped posting over there, if you follow me over there, the reason why I stopped posting over there because I wasn't making any damn money. I was getting mad views, but I wasn't making any money because of censorship. And look, I'm not even going to front. even now, they're not as bad as they were, but they're still doing shit. Like, yo, you should not look. See, we're in an interesting time now. Because guess what? Jimmy Kimmel is on a nationally televised show that is under the purview of the FCC. ABC and its affiliates receive money from advertisers. If Jimmy Kimmel can get his ass up there and say whatever the hell he wants without any repercussions, then everybody should be able to say what they want. It's either freedom of speech or it's not. It's either freedom of speech or it's not. It's either freedom of speech or it's not. I mean, we can't keep burning the candle at both ends. We either gonna have censored speech or we're gonna have freedom of speech. Which one? See, I think right now the left wants to fight for freedom of speech because we're moving into an era where the conservative right may be able to do what they did for so many years, which is silence the left's voice, control the narrative, and indoctrinate the public into a right-leaning ideology. And so, because that's one thing that they fear more than anything in this world, is not being able to express themselves and voice their opinions. Now, all of a sudden, they want to make freedom of speech a priority. Whereas during the Biden administration, and see, here's the other thing that's crazy. There is video. Because look, you can say, well, how are we going to hold Joe Biden accountable? Joe Biden is a drooling potato. He's probably somewhere in a freaking nursing home. Like, what can we really do with him? Well, I mean, look, everybody that was part of the Biden administration isn't super old. You got Kamala Harris running around here doing a book tour. You can hold her accountable. There's literally video of her openly talking about how Americans need to be censored on social media platforms. Like, I would urge Jim Jordan and anybody else in Congress to forget an oversight committee. There needs to be an investigation into the Biden administration. They need to be held accountable for their influence. And I know this is not, I realize that this is unknown territory because social media platforms are fairly new. But you literally had Jack Dorsey come out and admit that the Biden administration put pressure on Twitter before Elon Musk purchased it and changed it to X. You have Mark Zuckerberg admitting that the Biden administration put pressure on Facebook. And now you have this. Now you have this. There are stories and instances that were not allowed to be talked about that could have had a major effect on certain things historically in the past 5 years. Like, I don't know, like the Hunter Biden laptop that we weren't allowed to talk about. And here's the other thing, because don't get fooled. Don't get fooled. I'm going to point out why And what's going on with the support, guys? What's going on with the support? Can we get some support? But yeah, like I was saying, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled and think that this is some kind of what's the best word for it? Don't be fooled and think that this is certain groups and certain people and certain organizations turning over a new leaf. That's not what this is. I can point out every instance as to why certain individuals are changing their minds when it comes to certain stuff. And at the end of the day, all it really boils down to is one, making sure the left doesn't reap what they sow. That's one part of it. But the major part of it is money. It's all going to boil down to money every single time. It's always going to boil down to money, right? So when you look at Mark Zuckerberg, right? Mark Zuckerberg changed the pay structure on Facebook, right? So before, the way you would get money is if you did live streams or you put shorts up or whatever, you had where you could get ads placed on it. Now, in order for you to be able to get your shit monetized, you had to meet this ridiculously high criteria. It took me a while to reach that criteria with all of the views I get, right? But once you reach the criteria, they can take it back away from you for whatever goofy reason. So he recently changed it now to where you get paid for posting, right? And you don't have to, I don't think you have to reach some ridiculously high criteria. But see, the only reason that Mark Zuckerberg is doing that is because he's he's tired of other social media platforms kicking his butt, because Facebook, as far as social media platforms go, has become a graveyard. The only people that really be on Facebook like that is old people. You feel me? And the only reason, let me tell you something, the only reason that the average everyday American keeps a Facebook account is because that's how they keep in touch with their relatives. Like, that's the only reason. Shout out to Jeremy. He said, keep speaking truth, AM, never surrender. Appreciate you, bro. That is the only reason. The only reason, the only reason that people keep their Facebook account is because that's how they keep in touch with family members. You feel me? Or check up on family members. It So Mark Zuckerberg had to do something. He had to let up on the censorship. He's acting like he's seen the light. I seen the light. I seen the light. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. You're just in the perfect storm. People don't really use Facebook like that anymore. Um, in addition to having to turn over a new leaf, because when Joe Biden crashed on freaking when Joe Biden crashed on that debate stage, and you saw which direction the wind was blowing, because I don't know if y'all noticed that once Mark Zuckerberg realized that Trump was going to win the election, that's when he really switched up. Because if you remember before, he was walking around all robotic, looking like Commander Data with that low Caesar. And then all of a sudden he comes out and he's got hair on his face and he's got curly hair and he's like, he's dressed like he's a bro. It's like, what's going on, man? You know, yeah, just call me Zuck. Like, no, we're not falling for it, bro. We know that you had a conversation with your team, and what they did is they tried to give you a makeover. They said, "Oh, people are not liking you, Mark. You're too robotic." And then on top of that, you've played into all of this. You've played into all of this lefty crap. Like they don't like this. So he switched it up. Why? Because he's trying to revamp his image so that he can get things back on track at Meta. I get it, and I ain't even mad at it. I ain't mad at it, right? But we know what it is, right? We know exactly what it is. So then we already know what the deal is with X. Once Elon took over X, it just was a totally different company. Like that, you could say pretty much. There's a lot. You could say a lot on X. You can, I would argue that X is one of the social media platforms that you pretty much got freedom of speech over there. But here's the other thing, and this is the biggest thing, right? I believe the only reason that moving forward, people are going to welcome conservative content creators with open arms is because of one simple thing. During the Biden administration, conservative content creators were persecuted so bad, were treated so horribly, that a lot of conservative content creators fled. They left YouTube. They left all of the platforms that was censoring them. They either left those platforms or got banned from those platforms, which caused what to happen? It caused the rise of other platforms. It caused the rise of other platforms. And you know what everybody figured out? Conservatives is where the money is at. Lefties don't really buy shit. Lefties are a bunch of commie socialist clowns. And this country is still a capitalist country. Now here's the thing that I gotta ask of all of the social media platforms that started leaning left. What the hell were you thinking? You were literally promoting the side that hates capitalism. Does that make any damn sense? You were literally promoting the side that hates capitalism. How much sense does that make? Like That makes absolutely no sense. And see, I think you've gotten to the point where you now realize this. And you're like, oh man, I think we messed up. Because who do you think is really spending the most money in this country? Who do you think is really, look, the lefties, they make movies to cater to lefties, right? To the woke. There's a reason why when you go woke, you go broke. Because wokies want you to change Star Wars, not because they want it to really represent them, but simply because they want to take it away from the original fans. It's spite. Because the woke, let me tell you something, the woke Star Wars fans, they're not buying Rey's merchandise. They're not buying the merchandise of the sequel, this new freaking this new version of Star Wars. They're not buying that shit. And the original fans aren't buying it because they hate it. What made Star Wars great is the original fans actually supported it. The original fans actually consumed all of the content, no matter what it was. The original fans bought the books. The original fans went to the movies. The original fans watched the cartoons. The original fans bought the merchandise. These wokies don't buy the merchandise. You've let wokies infiltrate the freaking comic book industry, and they've destroyed that. That you've made everything inclusive, and guess what? The wokies don't buy comic books. It's guys like me that buy comic books. And guys like me are going to flat out refuse to buy comic books as long as they're fucking woke. Like, I'm not buying a comic book that has Superboy being anything other than, you know what. Like, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying a Superboy comic book where he has a boyfriend. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm not buying any comic book where you take characters that we had and try to turn them into woke progressive symbols of the left. Like, I'm not going to do that shit. And I guarantee you, I speak for every other comic book fan that will actually buy the comics. The people that actually buy the comics, that actually pay to go see the movies more than once, that actually stream the movies, that actually buy the figures and the merchandise. We're not gonna buy that shit. I think many of you are learning a painful lesson. See, if you want to be successful in America, right? Shout out to Burnell for being a sponsor. Appreciate you. He said, AM, the liberal Democrat Party is the new Leviathan double cross, two-face, eat each other with no power, no cap. Yeah. Look, bro, if you want to be successful in America, you have to cater to the American citizens that believe in America. The American citizens that believe in America, these are the individuals that buy houses, that buy land, that start businesses, that have that create families, that pay taxes, that take their families to restaurants and movies. The people that take their families to theme parks. If you want to be successful in America as a business, you have to cater to the Americans that have skin in the game. You can't make a Buzz Lightyear movie that alienates average, everyday nuclear families that are raising children. It's not gonna work. I don't understand why they don't get this. I don't understand why they can't comprehend this. Now, usually this time of night on this channel, we'd be over 1,000 people. In fact, let me go pull up the thing. Let me go pull up the thing and see what we're doing numbers wise. Let me pull up the thing. Hold on. Yeah. Usually this time of night, we'd have over 1,000 people watching. Right? So this makes me ask the question: were they really sincere? Because the other question that needs to be asked, like, okay, you admitted to suppressing conservatives. What about male content creators that talk about relationship stuff? Shout out to Rob B. What about them? What about guys that are considered red pill? What about them? Because while you may be willing to admit to censoring conservatives, what about the other groups of people that you censor? What about the other groups of people? Because I don't give a shit what nobody say. For me to have almost 1 million subscribers and I go live and I got to fight to get 1,000 live viewers, and trust and believe, I've changed everything that I could change, adhered to every YouTube strategy. So now, I don't start the show by just, chilling and talking about random shit. No, I get right into the topic. I don't play music at the beginning of the show. I've done every single thing. My thumbnails are immaculate, like all of it. Good titles, all of it. What's going on? The real A Dog. What's good with you, bro? So what? Who else is being censored, and for what reasons? Who else is being censored, and for what reasons? Because the same way I knew you guys were censoring conservatives, I also know you're censoring male content creators that have male-driven content. I know that's happening too. Let's not leave that out. Let's not leave that out. We know that's going on too. We know that's going on too. But see, this is what I'm wondering. This is what I'm wondering. What I'm wondering is, have they opened themselves up to litigation by admitting this? What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Well, regardless, I tell you this. And if there's anybody watching that is anywhere close to the current administration that can get a message to Trump, that digital bill of rights that Trump was talking about, he needs to do that. He needs to do that because here's the thing that I noticed, right? Of course, as Americans, we have civil rights. But the only problem is many of our rights were written during a time where there was no internet. There was no content creation. None of this existed. There needs to be something written and put on the books into law that addresses the rights of the American people as it pertains to cyberspace, as it pertains to the internet. Like, that needs to happen. That needs to happen. And look, don't get me wrong. I appreciate what President Trump has already done. Because as a content creator, I can see the boot being let up off of our neck. You know, there's a lot of stuff that I couldn't say. And I'm not even talking about stuff pertaining to politics. I'm not even talking about the election or the pandemic. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about regular, average, everyday conversation. There were certain words that I couldn't say before that I can actually say now. So I know for a fact that whatever President Trump has done, it's already working. So when he says he restored free speech, he wasn't lying. He wasn't lying. Oh, snap. Did Jimmy Kimmel give an apology? The next shortage. Hold on. Jimmy Kimmel responds. Jimmy Kimmel apology. Tonight, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human. And that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram of the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it. I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what. Oh, he bending the knee. He bending the knee, y'all. Did he try to act like he was getting choked up? Yo. Did he try to act, bro? Did he try to act like he was getting choked up? Hold on, y'all. Check this out. Tonight, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human. And that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. He sounded like he almost choked up. You know why? He was thinking about that money. He was thinking about that money.
I posted a message on Instagram of the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it. I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make. But I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point the finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way. I have many friends and family members on the other side who I love and remain close to, even though we don't agree on politics at all. I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't, ever. And also selfishly,
yeah, that was a phony apology. That was a phony apology. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I feel like it was a phony apology. Because he still tried to take away the responsibility of the left. Like he still tried to take it off of the left. Well, I wasn't trying to say that this individual belonged to any group, but he did. He did belong to a specific group. Jimmy Kibbles, he did belong to a specific group. And by you not acknowledging what group he belonged to me, that's still a slap in the face. That's still a slap in the face to Charlie Kirk's family. That's still a slap in the face to the right, to not acknowledge that it was someone on the left. Like a real apology would have been like, look, I said some things that I shouldn't have said, and it was wrong. I don't condone Charlie Kirk losing his life. I don't condone violence as a solution to political disagreement. And this young man, I said that the young man that did that horrific act was part of the MAGA crowd. And I was wrong, because now there has been irrefutable proof that he's actually on the left. And we on the left should denounce this violence. See, that would have been a real apology. That would have been real accountability. But they can't do it. They cannot do it. They can't do it. And look, you want to know how, like you got some people saying, oh, there's no difference between the right and the left. Oh, really? If there's no difference between the right and the left, then you explain this to me. Why is it when someone on the left that's in a position of power does something wrong, the left refuses to acknowledge that that person is doing something wrong? But when someone on the right that's in a position of power does something wrong, we have no problem calling it out. Look at Pam Bondi right now. Do you see how many people on the right are calling for her to get fired simply because she tried to say that hate speech wasn't free speech? When she got up there and made the mistake of saying hate speech is not free speech, did you see how many conservatives, how many people on the right instantly denounced her and said, Pam Bondi, you've lost your mind? That's the difference. That is the difference. That's the difference. There's no way you're going to convince me that the left and the right are the same, because they're not the same. They're not the same. Regardless of, I don't care how much you want to try to convince everybody that they're the same. They're not. Exactly. When the left gets angry, or when something happens on the left side that they don't like, they riot. When something happens on the right side that we don't like, we have prayer vigils. When they disagree, they want to get violent. When we disagree, we want to continue having the debate. Like bro, it's not rocket science. We see what it is. We see what it is. Marina said, my husband and I are both MAGA, and we think Pam Bondi was and is a bad choice, and we don't need her. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you the truth. Originally, I thought she would be a good pick. But from what I see right now, ever since she mishandled that whole Epstein situation, I'm like, nah, it's a wrap. She's cooked. She's cooked. Not to mention the fact that, she pissed off my boy Dan Bongino. And I know what side Dan Bongino is on. I know what he wants to do. He wants to hold these people accountable. Shout out to Most Underrated. Said, hey, AM, can you explain the hate speech is not free speech? It's an actual question, no smoke. To say that hate speech is not free speech is the most ridiculous thing anybody could ever say. Because the only time that you're going to be defending free speech is when someone is saying something you don't like. The First Amendment is not to protect language that everybody likes, because nobody gives a shit. When you're saying things that people like, nobody's going to challenge that. It is only when you say things that people disagree with, or you say things that people find offensive, is when they're going to have a problem with what you're saying. So to say that hate speech is not protected under free speech is a contradiction. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make logical sense. Shout out to James. He said, what up, AM? I've been scrolling and nobody will answer my question. Came to get your take. What question is that? What question is that? Like one could argue that the only speech that freedom of speech actually protects is what people consider hate speech or contentious speech or disagreeable speech. That's really the only, like for instance, I'll give you a prime example. When I get on social media and I say something critical about Black women and I get censored and suppressed, that is a violation of my free speech. That is an absolute violation of my free speech. Said, I'm not a free speech absolutist. Well, that doesn't matter, because the way it works is speech is either free or it isn't. You're either allowed to say what you want or you're not. There is no in between. There is no in between when it comes to that. There is no in between when it comes to that. And the founding fathers knew that. That's the reason why freedom of speech is the First Amendment. Because they understood in order for a country or a nation to grow organically, people have to feel free to express themselves. That's the only way you're going to work out the problems. Because if you're censoring everybody, nobody's really saying what's on their mind. So you never get to the crux of the problem. You never get to the issue. Part of the reason that America has gotten to where it's gotten to is because of a free exchange of thoughts, a free exchange of saying what's on your mind. The founding fathers understood this, and that's the main reason why the Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. Because after you say some shit that somebody don't like, you might have to have you a freaking weapon to defend it. Michael said, no, that's not how we got here. Let me ask you something, Michael. What make you think I'm going to argue with you? We got here with special interest manipulation. Michael, what make you think I'm going to argue with you? You don't have to. Oh, well, thanks for your permission. Thank you for letting me know I didn't have to argue with you. I'm just providing truth. If you say so. Like, I'm still shocked at the level of stupidity that people engage in. It still shocks me, the level of stupidity that people engage in. Tiana said, you're arguing with him right now. Somebody do me a favor. Give Michael a Uber. Give Michael a Uber. And send his girlfriend Tiana with him. Send his girlfriend Tiana with him. She's so stupid, she don't even know what an argument is. She don't know the difference between someone addressing someone and someone actually having an argument. That's how stupid she is. But this is fascinating. I still can't believe that all of these platforms have admitted, to being influenced by the Biden administration. That is nasty work. Shout out to Andre. He said, for the night sessions. Appreciate you. That's nasty work, bro. I'm like Doc Holliday. I will not be pawed at. Thank you very much. So don't think you're gonna come in here and troll me. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I don't fall for that shit the way I used to. Shout out to the Surly JB. I don't know if y'all noticed. I don't fall for that shit the way I used to. He said, appreciate what you do, big bro. Appreciate you. I just woke up a little while ago. My schedule is completely off. My schedule is completely off. Like, the shit is crazy. And that's what's so funny about that, fam. What's so funny about that, you said that's why people left for Rumble and Truth Social. That's what's so funny about that. Trump made Truth Social. Now you can't censor him. And that's all they did. Like, yo, the crazy thing about this is by treating conservatives the way they treated them, the only thing you've done is you caused the conservatives to adapt. So now conservatives have an alternative that they can always go to. And I don't care if y'all did run and make Blue Sky. Blue Sky is never going to be as big as some of these other conservative platforms. It's just not. Because the left, you're not good at creating things. You're only good at stealing things. Those of you on the left, you're not good at creating anything original. You're only good at stealing things that are awesome and then making them suck. That's all you're really good at. Said, AM big bro, what is the time of your time? What do you mean? You mean like what time is it where I'm at right now? It's 1:25 Eastern Standard Time. Oh yeah, they're definitely good at lying. They're definitely good at lying. But this Jimmy Kimmel situation is funny to me because everybody was just banking on the fact that he was going to double down. But there's only one problem. He couldn't double down because he's trying to get Sinclair and what was the other one? What was the other one that said they weren't going to air Jimmy Kimmel? He's trying to get back in the good graces of Sinclair and that other company that owns all of those affiliates. Oh, you said how much time do y'all have me for? Oh, you talking about the timer. Oh, well, let's see. We're on an hour and 20 minutes. Y'all got me for another 30 minutes. Unless we can get, if we can get 20 contributors, if we can get 20 contributors in the next 30 minutes, I'll keep it going. If we can get 20 contributors in the next 30 minutes, I'll definitely keep it going. Man, shout out to Burnell, man. We gonna mess around and be here all night. Shout out to Burnell for being a super sponsor of the show, man. Appreciate you, broski. You always showing love, man. Appreciate you. You always showing love, fam. Appreciate you. I'm trying to get more. As y'all can see, I'm out here. I like being outside. I like being on the patio. I only really use the studio now for like joining panels and doing pre-recorded videos. But trying to get more innovative. You feel what I'm saying? And as soon as I figure this out, you feel me? I might start doing like call-ins and shit. Said AM, looking forward to your call in. Let me know. My email is all right, cool. I got you, bro. I got you. Shout out to Renee in the building. Appreciate you, Renee. Appreciate the love. So let me ask you guys that are watching right now. So this new revelation about YouTube, how do you think this will change the landscape of YouTube and content creation? How do y'all think this will change the landscape of YouTube and content creation? Do you think it's going to change it for the better? Shout out to Jimmy. He says supporting. Jimmy says supporting the show. Appreciate you. SWAC fan said, "A, love your skit about taking your black card. People need to stop thinking they have their authority on other." Bro, man, let me tell you something about that little skit. You have no idea how many people I pissed off with that skit. You have no idea how many people is butt hurt about that skit, bro. they are in their feelings about that skit. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why I did it. I did it. I didn't just do it to piss them off. I did it because I wanted them to understand that I'm a BINO. I don't adhere to all of that stereotypical bullshit. See, it was easy for me to do that shit because I don't smoke Newports. Um, if you go look at the history of cigarettes, the funny thing about it is black people mostly like menthol cigarettes. If you go look up the history of the effects of menthol, trust me. Um, I don't freaking smoke Newports. I've never eaten flaming hot Cheetos. Never in my life have I eaten flaming hot Cheetos. And guess what? Ever since I was a little kid, I hate grape soda. Hate it. Hate it. Anytime I was a kid and, I drank some grape soda, I would get a stomach ache. I hate grape soda. What's going on, Will? I hate grape soda. Hate it. Hey, Will, did you see what I did with the cigarettes? Y'all thought I was playing. Y'all thought I was playing about them cigarettes. A bucket of extra crispy and some grape sodas. Will said, I laughed the whole day. Bro, the amount of butthurtedness in that comment section, bro. Oh my God. The amount of butthurtedness. But you know what? There were a lot of black people. There were a lot of black people that when they saw that shit, they was like, look, I don't know if y'all noticed or not, but there's an entire movement of black people, and you see them on social media all the time now. But there's an entire movement of black people. It's like a silent, it's like a silent group of black people that are starting to be more vocal now. And they hate this new stereotypical version of black culture. They hate it. They can't stand it. And guess what? The moment it becomes cool, because see, we still have the stigma of being a sellout and a coon and all of that bullshit. But let me tell you something. The moment it becomes cool to reject the negative stereotypes of the current black culture that we live in, you're going to see black people really thrive. The moment that it becomes cool to separate from that bullshit, you're going to see something you've never seen before in your life. Because it's already headed in that direction. It's already headed in that direction. He said all you needed was a black and mild. Oh, that's next. That's next. That is next. Trust and believe. I might have a skit where I take a pack of Black and Milds and tear them up and take a bonnet and set it on fire. Take a bonnet and set it on fire and shit, bro. That'd be real messed up if I put like a bonnet. That'd be messed up if I went to my fire pit and threw like some Tyler Perry DVDs in the fire pit. A bonnet. You feel what I'm saying? And just set that and like pour some lighter fluid on it and just set that bitch on fire. Somebody do well. You already got them. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. These niggas really be butthurt, bro. They really be butthurt. They really be in their feelings. And look, this is what they don't realize about social media, right? People look at 50 Cent and they be like, why the hell is 50 Cent always trolling? Because 50 Cent figured out that the only way to stay relevant amongst black people is to get on black people's nerves. So while I don't purposely try to get on y'all's nerves, you don't realize being annoyed by me only increases my notoriety. Because if you come in here to say something crazy to me, it still counts as a view. If you come in here and you hit the thumbs down button, that still counts as engagement. You don't realize that YouTube is based off of engagement. So when you come in here and you say, I don't like you, Angryman, the algorithm says that's engagement. So whether you know it or not, with your dumb ass, when you come to my show and watch it every day because you hate me, and you talk shit in the chat room because you don't like me, and you hit the dislike button because you don't like me, the algorithm views you as a fan. So, Angryman, why do you block people then? I only block you because I don't want to see the messages. But I'm smart enough to know that even when I block you and you can't talk in the chat, you still come over here to watch. You still come over here to watch because you're praying that's going to be the day that I give chat forgiveness. You're praying that's going to be the day that I unblock the chat so you can say some more hateful shit. And why do I know this? Because a very long time ago, somebody made a video. And the video was titled this. It was a little docuseries, and this is what it was titled: How to Sell to the Negro. How to sell to the Negro, right? What you Negroes don't understand about yourselves that I understand is that if you want the Negro to show up to support your business, all you have to do is deny him access. That's all you got to do. All you got to do is say, hey, Negro, you can't come. Motherfucker can't tell me what I'm going to do. I'm going to show up. Shit. That's why all of those designers like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, all of that, this is the reason why they say stuff like, I don't want you black people buying our stuff. That's why Michael Jordan said, I don't want black people buying Jordans. Because he, just like those designers, understand one thing. The moment he tells you you can't, that's when you will. See, the biggest mistake that a black person makes when they try to market to black people is they try to cater to black people. They'll say, hey, come here. This is a safe space for black people. And you can, when you buy here, you'll be appreciated. You'll be loved and all of that. Black folks ain't showing up for that because there's no controversy. There's no conflict. But if Gucci tells Tory Lanez or Floyd Mayweather, you can't shop at our store, oh, he's going to show up and spend $100,000 because in his mind, oh, the only reason you don't want me shopping at this store is because you think I'm broke because I'm black. I'll show you. Shout out to Will. He said, and they lined up at 2 a.m. to buy his shoes still. Exactly. Because the psychology of selling to the Negro has already been mapped out. It's already been dissected. This is the reason why black folk contribute 1.2 trillion a year to the American economy, but don't own shit. Let me say that again. This is why black people contribute 1.2 trillion to the economy every year, but don't really own shit. And if you think I'm joking, look at how many black people have been selling their masters. Look at how many black entertainers have been selling their catalogs. They literally are squandering the birthright of their descendants. You want to know how hilarious it is to sit back and watch black people of this day and age who have the ability to own their masters, unlike their forebearers? Because back in the day, black people didn't get to own their masters. You have any idea how funny it is to me to know that black people back in the day fought tooth and nail to own their masters, only for these niggas today to own their masters and voluntarily give them up? It's the funniest shit in the world. It's the funniest shit in the world. You said white only pies? Absolutely. Absolutely. That is the personification of it. That's the personification of it. How much is it going to cost to make them white only pies into nigger pies? Why the hell would you want a pie from somebody that don't like you? Why would you eat a pie from a racist? Why? Why would you want to eat food from someone who hates your guts? Niggas is still, to this day, Negroes is still running around talking about some how much to make them white only pies into nigger pies. Like, man, if you don't get your goofy ass out of here, bruh. Man, the craziest work, the nastiest work is like, I sit back and I watch this, and it is the funniest shit in the world to me. It is the funniest shit in the world to me. It's the funniest shit in the world to me, bro. And I get it. I don't even play into it. If I wanted to, I could really play into it. If I really wanted to, let me tell you something. If I was the type of person that was like, okay, I'm going to purposely be antagonistic to black people, I wouldn't block nobody. I wouldn't block nobody. I'd let them come in here and say whatever. I'd let them come in here and say whatever because it would boost the views. It would boost the views. Like, them Negroes would come here just to be mad at me. But see, the funny thing is this. I actually make more of them watch me simply because I block people. My audience is predominantly black, but guess what? When I turn on members only, that shit don't make the numbers drop. Because the moment that I turn on members only, I'm literally turning my channel into like a white country club. And black people like, nigga can't tell me I can't come in there. It's the goofiest shit in the world, bro. Will said, I'm gonna have to catch the replay, but I still wanted to support you, OG. Be blessed. Appreciate you, fam. That's all you gotta do. And I showed that video. I played that video back in the day. And this is what they said on that video. They said, what the Negro is buying is inclusion. The Negro wants to feel like he's buying something that makes him included. This is the reason why luxury brands are so popular amongst black people. Because there are a lot of black people, I'm not saying all, but there are a lot of black people that suffer from the issue of low self-esteem. And part of that low self-esteem comes from the history of America and how America has historically treated black people. So when black people buy certain things, it makes them feel like, okay, you know what? America rejected me and America treated me like I wasn't worth anything. But look at what I bought. Look at what I can afford to buy. I can afford to buy the same things that white people can afford to buy. It's like a boost to their self-esteem. And these marketing companies know this. They know this. They know this. And I'll give you even more proof of it. Watch this. To every black person in here right now, what if I told you FUBU made a comeback? Would you go buy it? What if I told you FUBU never went anywhere? Would you go buy it? There's the FUBU website right there. They never went anywhere. They never went anywhere. There's the FUBU website right there. New arrivals. They never went anywhere. But guess what? The average nigga ain't gonna buy FUBU. I've been on panels where niggas be like, man, ain't nobody buying no FUBU. You want to know the main reason why niggas don't buy FUBU? Press 1 if you want to know the main reason that niggas don't buy FUBU. Press 1 if you want to know the main reason that niggas don't buy FUBU. Because it's for us, by us. I'm going to say it again. The main reason niggas don't buy FUBU is because it's for us, by us. A nigga would rather buy a $500 Gucci shirt than to buy a $30 FUBU shirt that's made for us, by us. Why? Because there's no validation in buying from black people. You can only get validation from buying what you think you're not allowed to have. See, the white man's ice is always colder. If you buying it from niggas, that don't make you impotent. When you buy it from non-black people and it's expensive, that makes you impotent. Ooh, I know some of y'all mad about that. Ooh, I know some of y'all is mad about that comment. Some of y'all is like, man, forget Angryman. Angryman ain't shit. Yeah, but Angryman ain't wrong either. And if you think I'm lying, just think about this. Look at all of the brands that we used to have. Look at all the brands we used to have. We used to have Sean John. We used to have Rockaware. We used to have Rockaware. We used to have so many urban clothing. We used to have so much urban clothing that you couldn't even name all of the freaking you couldn't even name all of the brands. But guess what? Those brands failed. And you want to know why they failed? Because the people that owned them sold them. The black people that owned those brands around that time in the 90s, this is what happened. All of the luxury brands started realizing they couldn't compete with the urban brands because black people started buying the urban brands. Rappers started wearing the urban brands instead of wearing the luxury brands. The moment the rappers started wearing the urban brands, the general public started wearing the urban brands, including white kids. So it was getting to the point where the luxury brands wasn't going to be able to compete with the urban brands. So the luxury brands went to the black people that own these urban brands and they said, hey, we'll buy your brand for this ridiculous amount of money. And black people, like a bunch of idiots, said, okay. And they took that payout and the luxury brands bought those urban brands and they put them urban brands on the shelf. And then once that urban brand was no longer in the possession of the black people, they went and hired the black designers to design the urban brands. And that's to take the urban designs and put them in the luxury brands. And that's why when you look at the luxury brands now, they look like the urban brands of the 90s because they didn't used to look like that. And why were they able to do this? Because black people don't value ownership. The same way black people lost their record labels, they lost their urban clothing brands, and now they're even losing their music because these raggedy, trifling Negroes that don't know how to manage their money is getting in a tight spot because they try to live these extravagant lifestyles instead of living moderate lifestyles. They're like, okay, well, you know what? I know how I can get a few $1 million. I'll go sell my catalog. So now you got all of these niggas selling their catalog. And you know what their logic is? Well, I'm only getting a few dollars here and there for my catalog, but if I sell it, I can get a lump sum of money right now while I'm still living. Okay, but how the hell does that help your children? How does that help your children's children? How does that help your children's children's children? Let me tell you something. There's luxury brands right now that's been in certain families for generations. And guess what? You would have to fight them tooth and nail to try to get that brand, to get that IP away from them. You would have to fight them tooth and nail to try to get possession of their family business that's been in their family for generations. But like I said, niggas don't care. The only black people are the newer clothing designers that were smart enough to put their clothing out, but not let everybody know it's black owned. Those are the smart ones. Those are the smart ones. The smart ones, Fear of God, Paper Planes, they put out their clothing line, Fear of God, Paper Planes, Billionaire Boys Club, Ice Cream. They put out their clothing line and charged premium designer prices and never said that they were a black company. That was the smartest thing they could have ever did. That was the smartest thing they could have ever did. And that's why a lot of these black folks was buying these brands, because they didn't know they was black brands. Let me tell you something. If niggas would have knew that certain brands were black owned, they would have never bought that shit. They would have never bought that shit, bro. I bet y'all didn't even know that about clothing lines like freaking, these black clothing lines. They sold out. They sold out. Why do you think those clothing lines just disappeared? Where do you think they disappeared to? They didn't disappear. These luxury brands bought them out and then put their designs on the shelf and hired their designers to give their luxury brands an urban look. And once they did that, the rappers started buying luxury brands again. What's this? What's this? If y'all think I'm lying, then explain to me why black folks are not the black clothing brands that kept their ownership. Why don't black people currently support them? That's Carl Kanai right there. But y'all expect me to believe that black people nowadays are pro-black. If you so pro-black, why you don't support Carl Kanai? Why you don't support FUBU? And look, I thought FUBU was gone too. The only reason why I even know FUBU was still around is because my daughter was a brand ambassador for FUBU recently. That's the only reason I know. Said because they stigmatized those brands. See, here's the funny thing. It was black people that stigmatized those brands. It was black people that started saying FUBU was whack. It was black people that started saying that these brands weren't good enough. But you know what you'll never see them do? You'll never see black people say that Gucci is whack. You'll never see black people say that Louis Vuitton is corny. You'll never see that shit. You'll never see that shit, bro. You'll never see that shit. You'll never see them do that. And see, the crazy thing is, it would have to take somebody famous. It would have to take somebody like an NBA young boy or something to start wearing that shit again. But the only thing is, he's not going to do that because he don't give a shit about nothing. Nothing of any importance. His little crazy ass don't care about nothing. Shout out to Theo Waff. What's going on, Theo? What's good with you? So how do we change our mindset? Because we are backwards here. That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't think we can change the mindset, Theo. I think the only thing we can do as a group, we have to create a class separation because it's really about priorities. And there's a portion of us that just have horrible priorities, and I don't think we're ever going to have good priorities. So we have to we have to create a class separation where those of us that know better do better. And I think the only way we're going to be able to do that is it has to be the same way any other class separation is created. We have to create an air of superiority. We have to create an air of prestige. It's like, oh, well, we operate this way because we know better. That's the only way. I think that's the only way, in my personal opinion. I think that's the only way. We have to create a class separation. There was a time back in the day where black people actually had a class separation. The problem is now we're on this type of, see, here's the goofy thing. We think that black people that are well-rounded, well-to-do, intelligent, successful black people, the only way we can benefit the lower income black people, the lower brow black people, is if we remain unified. And what we don't understand is that it actually helps the lower end black people more if we separate. Because, you know, as my grandfather would say, one rotten apple will spoil a bunch, right? So by keeping that separation, you're consolidating the power in the right hands of the right black people, which would ultimately benefit the lower income black people. As long as we continue to mix and mingle the upper echelons of black people with the lower end black people, you're going to keep having situations where wealth is lost from ignorant black people that don't know any better, that treat successful black people like something to eat. You feel me? You look at somebody like Nipsey Hussle, right? And I know everybody's going to have a problem with Nipsey's background, right? But it's that I'm never going to leave the hood. I'm down for my people. I'm keeping it real mentality that hindered Nipsey from evolving. You understand? If Nipsey didn't have that mentality, if we had a system where we understood once you reach a certain level of financial success, you have to separate. If that was a common thing amongst us, Nipsey would have evolved. He would have denounced, and see, that's the other thing people don't realize. Nipsey was supposed to meet with the LAPD a week after he lost his life because he was going to denounce gang violence. People don't know that, right? So if Nipsey had separated himself, he could have evolved into a legitimate businessman that could help his community from a distance. And it's the same thing with Dolph. It's the same thing with countless people. Who knows what Tupac would have been able to do if he hadn't bought into the ignorance of street life and gang life and all of that stupid shit, because by now he would be significantly older and would be on some different type of shit. Because the one thing we can't deny about any of these individuals that have the circumstances that they have is the fact that they're intelligent. These are intelligent people. Yeah, Nipsey was a Crip. He was a gangbanger. He was violent. He was all of those things, but he was also intelligent. He's extremely intelligent. But we'll never get to see what his potential is because he became a victim of the very lifestyle that he led. And like I said before, the only way that you can really solve for that is there has to be a class separation. There's got to be a class separation. There's got to be a class separation. If we can't create a class separation, we're doomed. Because every group, like people always say, well, why is it other groups are able to succeed where black people seem to fail? It's because every other group has a class separation. You have to insulate the people in your group or your particular tribe that are talented when it comes to wealth creation, when it comes to innovating, when it comes to being able to create new industry and things of that nature. You have to insulate that group of people. You have to insulate that group of people. How would Steve Jobs ever have created the iPhone if he had some ridiculous concept of keeping it real and wanted to hang out in trailer parks, and then one day he got stabbed by somebody in a trailer park? That's literally what we do. We'll have a black person that will become massively successful to the point where they can afford Lamborghinis and Ferraris and shit. And what do? They go out and buy a Lamborghini, and the first thing they do is they go hang out in the damn projects, which has to be the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. It has to be the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. And some people say, well, class separation ain't good because them people think they better. They are better than you. They are better than you. You know they're not angry. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. You look at upper class white people, they definitely think they're better than lower class white people. But it doesn't matter. And the reason why it doesn't matter is because it's the upper class white people that own the corporations that the lower class white people work at. Say that again. It's the upper class white people that believe they're better than the lower class white people that create the corporations that the lower class white people work at. What corporations do the upper class black people create for the lower class black people to work at? They don't. They don't. They don't. They don't do that. They don't do that because their priorities are wrong. And here's the reason why. They don't understand capitalism. Okay? 38 Special said in the song, he said, an intelligent mind can build an empire with someone else's hands. The reason why a rich upper echelon white person will create industries like Jeff Bezos with Amazon, or Steve Jobs with Apple, or Bill Gates with Microsoft, is because they are trying to build their empire with someone else's hands. Now, upon initially thinking about that, it sounds very usury, but there's a mutual benefit. And fair exchange is no robbery. So if Jeff Bezos creates Amazon and Amazon puts a lot of lower class people to work, there's a mutual benefit there. You may not like that they're not paying you as much as you would like, but you're the one that chose to work for someone else instead of becoming an entrepreneur. If you want to be able to change, if you want to drastically, if you want to be able to change your pay and drastically improve upon how you can scale up your earning potential, you have to be an entrepreneur. You cannot choose to work for someone else. So I don't feel bad for people who work at McDonald's as a fry cook that get a low wage. You cannot expect to get $25 an hour as a fry cook. You're a fucking fry cook. If you want to get $25 an hour, you need to switch professions. Right? So when you have somebody like a Jeff Bezos who creates Amazon, that shit is putting a lot of people to work. Black people don't typically do that because black people have it in their mind that they shouldn't be able to build their empire off of someone else's hands. Why? Because there is a stigma in the black community to that. Because black community looks at anybody that makes money off of other people as a slave master and the people that they're making money off of as slaves. This is why you'll notice when you come on to YouTube, all you ever hear coming out of black people's mouths is you're a grifter, you're hustling people, because they don't understand commerce. They don't understand free trade. They don't understand capitalism. Just because a billionaire is making money off of people at the lower level does not mean that billionaire and his industry does not benefit the people at the lower level. And it's ridiculous for you to say, well, Jeff Bezos is making all of this money. Well, if you're so worried about Jeff Bezos making all of the money, check this out. Why don't you jump on that money train with him? Why don't you jump on the money train with him? Nobody's stopping you from putting a product on Amazon that you can sell. More people go to Amazon, the more likely you are to make money. If you have products on Amazon, right? Hell, even if you don't want to have to deal with products, if you don't want to have to deal with products, you can buy Amazon stock. And I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm just pointing out the obvious, right? Right now, as we speak, Amazon is up 30.48%. Amazon is up right now. And most of you be like, well, I can't buy shares in Amazon. Why not? You don't even have to buy complete shares. You can buy fractions of shares. Go to the M1 app. Go to the M1 app and you can buy fractions of shares. And in fact, what is the price for Amazon right now? The average share price is $211.13. Amazon is up 30% over the last year. It's up 30% over the last year. So again, going back to what I was saying, the problem is the lower class black people, they are not in the right state of mind to elevate black people. You cannot expect the lowest among us to elevate us. Only the highest among us can elevate us, whether through philanthropy or just industriousness. Because guess what? If you're an entrepreneur and you're into building industries, you're going to put people to work because you need those workers in order to build your empire. This is why capitalism works. But the problem is with black people, they've bought into the lie of the left, which is the main reason why they're so hell bent on socialism and communism and all these Marxist ideas, because they're so used to being in poverty and thinking that somebody needs to save them from poverty instead of understanding that they can save themselves. They look at capitalism as usury, not realizing that they are afforded the same opportunity to participate in capitalism as anybody else. And we're the only group of people. I heard a rabbi say this one time. He said, he said, any group that depends on another group for its prosperity will never have prosperity. See, for me, my logic is for all of the Ungawa Black Power, super pro black people, instead of running around crying about Procter and Gamble having racist hiring practices, and I'm not saying that they do, I'm just using that as an example. Instead of running around claiming that this corporation has racist hiring practices, why don't you create your own corporations? And I'm not saying you create them corporations so that you can do the same thing that a racist company would do. I'm not saying create a corporation so that you can favor black people and treat white people like shit. No, create a corporation and treat everybody fairly. Set a standard that other companies will have to copy. Instead of crying about this company that you believe is racist and trying to say that that's the reason you didn't get promoted or that's the reason you didn't get a job. Black people don't think about that. Black people are too busy running around here engaging in foolishness and all of this. And we got to ask the question, why is it there was more black black business creation during the Jim Crow era than it is now? Why did black businesses thrive during an era of extreme prejudice, but it doesn't seem to thrive now? I'll tell you why it doesn't thrive now. Because you don't value ownership. You would rather, and this is what Dame Dash was really trying to say on the Breakfast Club, that everybody took out of context and tried to make it seem like he was an idiot. And I'm not talking about the recent interview on the Breakfast Club. I'm talking about that interview where he said he was a boss. That interview where he was talking to them saying that they didn't have any ownership, right? This is really what he was talking about. Black people would rather get the guaranteed paycheck working for somebody else than to take the chance at being the boss so that they themselves can have ownership and actually put other people to work. That is the fundamental difference between us and other groups of people. Other groups of people understand the value of ownership. We don't. We rather play it safe by getting a guaranteed paycheck than actually trying to create an entrepreneurial mindset that would actually be way more beneficial to black people as a culture and a community. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. You have black folks that are wealthy, that have plenty of money, and they're not creating companies the way other groups are. And some people say, well, they won't allow them. Well, guess what? If you truly believe they're not allowing them and they're not doing it because they feel like other people are not allowing them, then guess what? You don't have the same spirit as the black people from the civil rights era. Because what if the black people from the civil rights era had that mentality? What if the black people during the Jim Crow era had that mentality? This is what Ice Cube meant when he did that interview and he said the needle hasn't moved since civil rights, because black people used to have a mentality of breaking through barriers. Now you just accept it. And part of the reason why you accept it is because you believe all of the propaganda. You have people saying, well, the reason why we don't build Black Wall Streets is because they bombed it and burned it down. You don't even realize they didn't even start calling it Black Wall Street until after they rebuilt the shit. That's the part of the history you don't even understand. It wasn't like they bombed it and then it just went away. Them black people rebuilt that shit. It became Black Wall Street after it was rebuilt. And look, and you niggas that be hating on me, you can dislike me all day long. But I guarantee you there's some youngin that's watching me right now. There's youngins that's watching me right now. They're gonna end up changing the world. They're gonna end up changing the world because some of them are gonna take what I'm saying to heed. And they'll be like, you know what, Angryman's right. Instead of running around crying and yelling about woe is me and we shall overcome, we have the opportunity right in front of us right now. Let's seize the opportunity. But see, instead of just seizing the opportunity, you have to have the mentality of breaking barriers. If there is a barrier to entry, challenge it. If you're saying that there's certain industries you can't get into because of racism, call them out on it. If you have non-black people saying today that racism is no longer what it used to be and everybody is equal and everybody has opportunity, hold them to that shit. Hold them to it. Instead of tucking your tail between your legs and running back to cry to other black people and trauma bond about how the white man won't let you do something. It's the most ridiculous shit in the world, man. Jay said, bruh, they need black teachers like you in the inner city schools. Shit would change real quick. Nah, bruh. They let me tell you something. They don't need black teachers like me. Because I believe in corporal punishment. I'd be fired as soon as I start, because the first little kid that cursed at me, it ain't gonna end well for him. The first little kid that cursed at me getting snatched up. You feel me? I'm gonna go in there like Joe Clark. I'm gonna roll up in there like Joe Clark. You feel me? I'm gonna tell one of them little youngers, hey man, check this out. You want to step outside? Let's step outside. Had that little joke in the headlock. You feel what I'm saying? Like, well, what'd you say? What'd you say? Tired of you little YNs. Tired of you little Negroes. And I swear to God, if y'all say 6'7" one more time, if you say 6'7" one more time, you gonna get 86 out of this classroom. 6'7", 6'7". Y'all the weirdest. These kids are the weirdest generation of kids I've ever seen in my life, bro. The weirdest generation I've ever seen in my life, fam. What is 6'7"? 6'7" is a lyric that a dude, it was one of these new rappers, he said it in a lyric, right? He said 6'7", and like it became a meme. And so now with the younger kids, anytime they hear somebody say 6'7", like if you ask, they'll try to bait you into saying something that'll make you say 6'7". They'd be like, "What time is it? How much time we got left? About 6 or 7 minutes." 6'7". It's a meme. That's all it is. It's just a trend. You know what I'm saying? Is you want to know? Okay, for all the Gen Xers, let me break down what 6'7" is for this generation. 6'7" for this generation is the equivalent of "What's up?" It's the equivalent of that. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's the equivalent of "What's up?" Like "What's up?" or the equivalent of "These nuts." That's all it is. That's all it is. So for all of you Gen X parents that was trying your best to figure out what the hell are they talking about, that's all it is. They'll try to bait you into saying 6'7", so everybody can say 6'7", the same way we used to bait people into saying D. You know what I'm saying? So you can say "These nuts." It's the same shit. It's the same shit. It's like, who is that over there? Oh, that's D. Who? These nuts. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. So if C said, "Nah, these nuts actually make sense." Yeah, but guess what? When we used to do that back in the day, our parents didn't understand what that was. It didn't make sense to our parents. The same way 6'7" don't really make sense to us. It's the same shit. It makes sense to them. It makes sense to them because culturally they just have a different culture. They just have a different culture. But the one thing that I'm concerned about is for this new culture of kids, racism was virtually non-existent. And I feel like all of this rhetoric coming from the left and right is just going to reinvigorate racism in this younger generation. That's the unfortunate part of it. Like all of this hatred for Trump, all of this, he's racist, this one's racist, that. I feel like it's just going to reignite and reinvigorate racism in this younger generation. But this younger generation, racism was virtually non-existent for them. And I honestly feel like that's why they're going so hard in the paint right now. It's like they're trying to reteach this younger generation racism. But yeah, black people need to get their shit together if they want to escape the fate. If black folks, if y'all want to escape your fate, you need to get your shit together because they are projecting it by the year 2050. The average black household will have a net worth of 0. They are predicting that by the year 2050, the average black household will have a net worth of 0. The average. Say you could bet they have some J's in GTA 6 though. That's a fact. That's a fact. Said, is that net worth because of the whole you'll own nothing and be happy, or because black Americans will lose the ability to make a meaningful living? No, it's net worth. It's net worth. It doesn't mean that black people in 2050 won't be able to make money. They'll be able to make money. They just won't have a net worth. They won't own anything. And I see how we're moving in that direction, especially with you got all these rappers selling their freaking masters. You got black people online telling other black people that owning a home is stupid. You literally have black people online telling other black people that owning land and a home is stupid. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard anybody say. But Angryman, what about property taxes? Bro, do you have any idea how many freaking tax benefits you get just from owning a home? Not to mention that if you're in a bad spot, you can literally take equity out of your home to pay off something, or to freaking to pay off something, or to start a business or whatever. And then you got people talking about some, oh, well, when you own a home, you have to maintain the home. You have to do this, you have to do that, and blah, blah, blah. Yes. Yes. Stop being lazy. Stop being lazy. Is it difficult to own a home when you don't have no money tucked away? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you're not supposed to be destitute. You're not supposed to have no money put away. You're supposed to have some money put away. And I get it. It's hard. It's hard to save money. It's hard to stack money. I get it. But we're in a new day and you got to adapt. You feel me? It's not like back in the day where you could just save your money and you would get a nice interest rate where you could just put it in you could just park it in the damn savings account and it'll grow. No, we live in a new day. Now you have to put your money in cash vehicles that will actually appreciate over time, that will actually gain over time. You know what I'm saying? But the the good side is that now we live in a day and age where access to the markets is easier. They you don't have the same barrier to entry. You know, you don't have to go get a stockbroker and go through all of that process. You could literally pull up an app and start investing. You know, you could get the M1 app or the Robinhood app or any of these apps, and you can literally just set it to where it takes money out of your bank account every time you get paid, maybe $20, $50 out of your bank account, and automatically invest it for you. The M1 app does that. It'll you can set it up to where it'll take money out of your account every time you get paid, and it will automatically invest based upon the criteria that you set in the app. So if you want to be invested in something 20%, if you want to be invested in something else 5%, it'll literally allocate that money and make those purchases for those stocks for you. You feel me? So we live in a day and age where you can literally, you can literally grow your money. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being like, well, damn, these banks don't want to give me a decent interest rate. Well, I'll put it to you like this. If you have I don't know if any of you have an Apple card. Okay. I don't know if any of you have an Apple card. Well, if you have an Apple card, Apple also has a savings account that you can open. And right now, it's giving 3.65% interest. So you can open up and if you can open up an Apple account where you have an Apple card and then you open up the savings account, and the annual percentage yield on your savings account right now is 3.65%. American Express also has a savings account, a high yield savings account. You don't even have to have an American Express card. You can literally open up an American Express high yield savings account, and you can start putting money in it. And I may be wrong, but I think their savings account is right around the same. I think theirs is the same. It used to be 4%. I'm not sure. But then at the same time, you also have, Fidelity, Vanguard. They have like ETFs where you can do long-term investing, right? And like I said, this is not financial advice. You can do whatever you want to do. I'm just telling you about what's available out there. Because you gonna have to tuck some money away. You gonna have to tuck some money away. Said credit unions are better than banks. You can get a credit union account too. Diversify, my friend. Diversify. Piper Boy Williams said, wish we made the same amount on vertical streams. You and me both. You and me both, fam. You and me both. The only reason I do vertical streams is because it gives me more exposure. So with vertical streams, you're able to grow your audience faster, you know. And I'm not gonna front. Vertical makes the quality of your audience a little bit less, but it still depends on you, because if you go vertical, you'll get way more exposure. Then it's really dependent on how good your content is, because if your content is good, even though vertical has a lot of people jumping in and out, you're going to get a few people that's going to stick around and then decide, you know what, I like what this guy's saying, I'm going to subscribe to him. So that's the only reason why I do vertical, because it gives you more exposure, gives you way more exposure than landscape. I don't know what YouTube got going on with their landscaping right now. I don't know what they got going on with their landscape stream. Their landscape streams do not get nearly as much exposure as vertical streams. Said definitely help grow my channel fast. Yeah. Yeah. So if you grow your channel on vertical streams, you just got to figure out a way to retain your audience, to retain the people that's actually watching you. Let's see where we at. We 2 hours and 30 minutes. Yeah, we done been on here long enough, man. Shout out to everybody that came through. Jesus Christ. We barely got any. I was getting ready to say we barely got any support on the Cash App side, but shout out to my man Burnell. He closed that gap. Appreciate you, broski. More than you know. But other than that, man, it's been a great conversation. Y'all already know how I do. I might start off talking about the main topic, but who knows where the conversation will twist and turn into. But hopefully I provided some value for you guys, something for y'all to think about. Make sure you guys go check out my book, The Angryman Standard, which is available on Amazon. All you have to do is type The Angryman Standard in the search bar and it'll come up. He said, "Have you seen birds lately?" I see birds all the time. See birds all the time. I don't know what type of question that is, but I see birds all the time, right? But shout out to everybody that came through. Make sure you guys check out the merchandise. All you have to do is click the link on the screen, or you can go to shopbinonation.com. Again, that's shopbinonation.com. But other than that, man, salute to everybody. I'ma holler at y'all later. Deuces.